Okay, through this series of videos, we've mostly been working with Ubuntu and its derivatives. So Ubuntu, Kubuntu, Mint. I want to introduce a new platform now. I'm talking about the idea of being able to use systems, Linux systems, as desktops or servers. The one I want to introduce is OpenSUSE. Or OpenSUSE, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It actually is out of Germany and is very, very popular in Europe. So I've got my virtual machine already built. I'm going to go ahead and start it and continue. I don't want to revert to a checkpoint. I just wiped out the hard drive. Let me stop the countdown there. All right, so OpenSUSE comes up, and I've got these options: boot from hard drive, which there's nothing on it. I just wiped it. Install Leap 16. This is the version I've run. SUSE has a couple of different versions: Tumbleweed, which is a rolling release, and Leap, which is a little bit more of a stable release. So, several different things I can do here: do a fail-safe install, check installation media, rescue the system. I want to install Leap. And I'm going to go ahead and maximize that. So, it's going to run through, and this is not an Ubuntu or Debian derivative. So, this is a completely different family than anything we have looked at before. So, we're booting the beginning of our operating system. And I think I told it to do the wrong thing. Let me go ahead and see if I can get this installer to trigger here. Okay, there we go. All right, so I want to do Leap 16. So I'm going to click on this and click select. So we've selected Leap 16. This is going to kind of track what we're doing piece by piece. So we're configuring our software. Now, one of the things that I think is so interesting about OpenSUSE, some platforms like Ubuntu, you're going to have a desktop download or download a desktop installer, download a server installer. This one does not. This one gives you one installer, and it will actually do either servers or clients based on the environment and what we choose for it. So let me come back to that train of thought in a minute. So here's my overview. I'm going to go to my host name, and I'm going to use a static host name, and I'm just going to call this SUSE, if I can spell it correctly, _Leap. And then localization, so English, language, keyboard, US time zone, Europe, Berlin, which is hilarious. This is kind of annoying, trying to find what I want, because it's not necessarily sorted in UTC order. It's sorted in alphabetical order. So, like most of them, I can search for this by UTC offset or by time code. Now, I'm going to search for Los Angeles. I'm in Pacific time, not specific time. I'm in Pacific time, there we go, in the western United States, and I happen to know that that tends to be identified as the Los Angeles time zone. So I did a search for LOS, and here comes Los Angeles, even though I'm nowhere near Los Angeles. But I'm in the right time zone, so I'm going to select next. And then let me look at my network settings over here. Wired connection, I don't have Wi-Fi, that's good. Storage, I'm going to use the entire disk. Here's what it's going to look like when it's done. Encryption, if I want to allow encryption on it, that's going to be kind of similar to the BitLocker encryption. Software, now this is where it gets interesting, because this is based off of patterns. So I'm going to click on change selection, and here are a bunch of patterns. Now, not all of them are here. There are more, but here are base ones that I can set. So I can choose the graphical environment that I want and use documentation. Do I want to use GNOME, KDE, or XFCE? Do I want to use KVM virtualization and use this as run a virtual machine hypervisor on here? Do I want software management to be enabled here? This pattern provides a graphical application command line tools for keeping your system up to date. desktop functions? Do I want multimedia? And so I can, and then server functions. Let me get to the part that I wanted to. And so I can turn this into a file server, a mail and news server, a web and LAMP server, an internet gateway, a DNS and DHCP server, a directory server, a KVM host server. And so I can pick the patterns that I want. Now I want to do this with KDE. So I'm going to select that. And when I select KDE, that also auto-selects multimedia and Office software. And then I can uncheck some of these if I want them. Or actually, there we go. Finally, let me uncheck it. And I'm not going to install any server software on here at the moment. I'm just going to leave this with standard KDE. And then authentication. I'm going to define a user. And let me do my name. And then I'm going to default to user suggested names or use suggested names. I'm going to use that one. Set a generic password that it's going to complain about not being good enough, but it's going to take it. Password fails, dictionary check. It is too simplistic or symmetric. Yep, I know. It's my demo one. And then root user, alongside defining the first user, this authentication methods for the root user can be configured. We are not going to define that, which is going to require us to sudo anything that we do. And I'm going to click install and continue. Okay, now this is going to take a while. This is not the fastest install in the world. You see here, we just prepared our disks, and you're going to see we have 2,230 packages to install. And this is counting them up. I do not want to wait for this to get done. I don't think you want to wait for this to get done. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my video, and we're going to wait for this to finish. And then once this gets done, we're going to pick it up here and we'll keep going. And then we'll show how we can go back in, access those patterns, and change the role of our system. And we're going to see a whole lot more that we can do with it once we get there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause until we get closer to being done with our installation, and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so we are just about done with our install. In fact, we just hit it. We're done installing software. Now we're moving over to configure the system. That's still pending. So still working on this a little bit, but we'll hit that next step here in just a second. Its definition of a second is a little longer than mine, apparently. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it again. We'll pick it up once it hits this next piece over here, configuring the system. Okay, here we go. We have finished installing our software. Now we're working on configuring the system. And after this, I believe we should be about ready to reboot and take our first look at OpenSUSE. There we go. Congratulations, installation is finished. Reboot your machine, log into the new system. Go for it. And so it gives us our little shutdown. And anytime OpenSUSE is doing a shutdown or a restart, you're going to see, like most systems, you're going to see that list of messages over there on the side as it works through all of its different steps. So we have shut down. Now we're just waiting for it to come back up. And let's see if my Hyper-V has decided to flake out on me. So I'm going to close my connection, reconnect to the system. There we go. Hyper-V did flake out on me. That's okay. All right. So options. Now this is OpenSUSE running KDE. So different platform, right? Kubuntu that we've been playing with is the Ubuntu system running KDE instead of GNOME. This is OpenSUSE, again, running KDE. And so a lot of things are going to look really similar. There will be some differences, however. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using my super intense password there. And we're going to get a little welcome thing here to OpenSUSE once the desktop environment loads for us. There we go. All right, ahoy, this is OpenSUSE. And it'll give us some options here, documentation, get software for it, support and contribute to it. Okay, fine. We're going to close that. So looks very much like KDE, right? We have our KDE menu here, the application launcher. We've got desktops. We've got system settings. We've got Discover, the software center. We've got the Dolphin file manager. We've got the web browser. Here's our system tray. All right, let's open up the Discover Software Center. Now, remember, Discover is the KDE Software Center, so this is the normal KDE Software Center. However, we have something else with OpenSUSE as well. So I'm going to come to my system, go to my application launcher system. I'm going to come down and I'm going to find Myrlyn. So I've got, oh, I know you have updates, go away. And when I did that, I made my menu go away too. So Myrlyn, I can run Myrlyn with full root access via sudo or as read-only for non-privileged users. I'm going to go ahead and run it full access just so I can see everything. And I'm going to have to log in using my super secret password. All right, now this is Myrlyn, which is the specific package management tool for OpenSUSE, not the generic KDE one. So, a couple of things I want you to see here. Number one, we have our search up here, which is a normal thing, right? We could search for whatever we wanted to. Let me search for OnlyOffice. I don't even know if that's available here, but let's do a search. Nope, we didn't find OnlyOffice. Let's do a search for Libre. Okay, there we go. There's all the LibreOffice stuff. It's checked. It means it's already installed. So this is our normal search where we'd look for, well, normal software. We also have our patches, our updates, manage our repositories, but here's what makes Myrlyn and OpenSUSE unique, and that is it gives us the option to use patterns. Now, remember I've said before, the difference between a server and a desktop or client is just the software that we run. So normally what we would do in other systems is we would find the specific software that we want to run. But in Myrlyn, we have these patterns that we can do. And this is actually super cool. So I have patterns and groups. Now remember, I installed this OpenSUSE using KDE. So here I have my graphical environments. And you can see the ones that I've got installed and the ones that I don't. So check mark means I've got it installed. I've got KDE Plasma 6. I got the applications for it. I've got the X Windows system and fonts for it. But look at all of my other options here. I can install GNOME. I can install XFCE. I can install Cinnamon from Mint. I can install Mate or Bougie. I have all of these different ones that I can install. And when I install them, if I have multiple ones installed, by the way, this can get a little cluttered, so approach with caution. But if I install multiple ones and every time I boot into OpenSUSE, I can pick which desktop environment I want. So that's cool. I can run using KDE this time, Mate the next time, and GNOME the third time if I want to. Now, it does get a little bit cluttered sometimes. We're writing a lot of extra software. We're using a lot of extra space. And then the different environments will try to pick up the software, so I might end up with duplicates, duplicate links to software, or software that's almost duplicated between the different environments. That's just something to be aware of. I can collapse these down if I don't want to look at all of them. So documentation, base technologies, desktop functions. I've got multimedia, office software, games. I could install graphics and technical writing. But here's what I really want you to see. And collapsing these, I can put in server functions. So all I have to do is install the pattern that I want, and it's going to give me that server function built on top of this. It basically turns my desktop into that type of server. And if I hover over one of them, like say file server, it will pop up and it will tell me this is what I can do with it. If I check and notice my options here, file server, print server, mail server, web and LAMP, server, internet gateway, DNS, DHCP directory, KVM host server. Let me say I wanted to look at being a file server. So I'm going to click my checkbox over here, and then this is going to be the individual things we're going to install. We're going to install Samba and the Samba client and the NFS kernel server, and then some patterns that we need, and then the Winbind daemon and the TFTP server. And by the way, I do not have to install all of these. I can just uncheck the ones that I don't want. But this gives me a very easy way to take and build a specific functioning server. Now, again, this is running off of OpenSUSE. I am not aware of any other Linux distros that have something like Myrlyn and these patterns. It actually, prior to Myrlyn, it used to be in a tool called Yast, which was awesome because it also gave you a bunch of other management tools. So most Linux systems, if you're running a server, the server software is going to be configured via command line and text file. But Yast gave you the ability to do it not through that, but through the a GUI interface. And while we no longer have Yast, we now have under Advanced System Management something called Copilot. Now, Copilot, its intention is to give us advanced systems management within the GUI rather than having to go out to the command line and edit text files and hope that we get them right. So I haven't worked with Copilot very much. I worked with Yast quite a bit more, but I haven't used OpenSUSE heavily for a while. But it is a great platform, and it gives us some really interesting options for setting up either desktop environments or server environments. And notice we did it from the same install file. It's not separate installs the way the Ubuntu desktop and Ubuntu server are. Okay, if I want to move on, I could go to my installation summary, and this would tell me everything that has a check is going to be installed. If it had a plus, it would be updated. If it would have had an X, it would be removed. Now, I'm not actually going to do this, but I did want to walk you through it, let you see how we install OpenSUSE, why we like OpenSUSE, and then the Myrlyn tool for setting patterns rather than installing software individually. Okay, there we go. Our introduction to OpenSUSE.